And let's talk about the elephant in the room, in which you remember that Trump mentioned repeatedly that the Epstein files was a hoax. The whole Epstein thing was a hoax by the Democrats, and people are realizing that he was right. And you might be asking, what do you mean, Jesus? You're saying that the Epstein files are all fake, that they are a fabrication? Well, not exactly, but we need to address a couple things here to understand why the Epstein files are actually something fabricated by the Democrats to take down not only Trump, but a lot of people as well. And yes, I'm going to mention a couple things here. Shout out to Captive Dreamer, who in fact, let's say the sentence, Trump has been totally vindicated on calling the Epstein files a hoax. I just added something. That's going to be my point. The problem is that half of the population can't even process what a hoax is, let alone identify one. Programming by the legacy media goes a long way with those who can't think by themselves simply because they lack the capacity for it. So what is exactly a hoax? A hoax is, and this is the last tidbit that I'm going to share with you, because even Sky News is replying to themselves saying that being mentioned in the Epstein files is not a sign of wrongdoing. You don't say. You mean to tell me that all the people mentioned in the Epstein files, every single one of them, up to the last one, the one who got, I don't know, who got Jeffrey Epstein here is not a PDF file as well? That's what you're telling me? And yes, Sean Fitzgerald says that Alan Dershowitz, Epstein's attorney, was laughed out of town for saying that the release is dangerous because people would just start attacking everyone mentioned but not implicated. That is key to this. Now that is happening, the media is trying to reel this back in as quick as possible. A-plus comedy. What is happening with this? We need to, say, go back in time a bit, up to 2006. I believe that was the date when Jeffrey Epstein was first arrested. He was finally convicted on 2008 for soliciting and procuring underage prostitution. So that was bad enough, and we need to address why people kept reaching out to him. That's something that we need to repeat over and over again, because that is inescapable. But the thing is, it is interesting that there was this uptick of reports of what Epstein had done, or more precisely, who had hanged out with Epstein after 2015. And I'm going to ask you, because I have the brightest and most brilliant and smartest audience. What do you think it was from 2015? There was this uptick of, let's say, reports. Yes, it seems that some people out there were not happy that certain orange man was running for president, and they were, let's say, trying to take him down in many ways. And we saw that in many pictures, such as both Hillary Clinton herself and Oprah, and even Whitney, Whoopi Goldberg, who used to love Donald Trump, and all of a sudden, well, Hillary Clinton is understandable. They were like opponents back in the day, back in 2015. But it's let's say, how do I say this? It was the switch. It was a switch. And all of a sudden we got all these reports. And I'm not saying that Trump was the one, let's say, falsely accused with this, but the problem is that you have seen the internet in the past couple days. You have seen it on YouTube, you have seen it on Instagram, you have seen it on Facebook, on X, everywhere, and everyone has their own narrative, the one that brings the most clicks to their audience. And everybody has a certain audience. I try to have the audience that, let's try to analyze this and from a critical thinking point of view. Let's try to apply our gray matter to this. And how does this work? Because this works in the sense that you have every single tip sent by every single schizophrenic or drug addict or crazy or anybody with a mental issue, some of those tips are legit, of course. And some of those were from drug addicts, deranged people, schizos, you name it. And the problem that when you release all that, you're releasing everything, including, but not limited to, what has been reported from 2015 up to this point. And all those reports are like smear campaigns that are baseless. And I already explained that in previous analysis, in which, you need to, write it down. The FBI has to write everything down. It has to, say, noted. I understand that there's this, that Trump killed somebody and buried the body on his golf course, a golf course that did not exist until 10 years later, but I will write it down. But then people are omitting on purpose the fine print, are omitting, of course, this witness, quote unquote, is not reliable. And they're just going with that. And I think that Trump doesn't care for the most part, up to some extent, which, I will talk about Trevor Noah in a minute. But the problem is that so many people whose names are in those emails, in those files, and were just by association, it means that you're gonna, since you are mentioned 2 or 3 times, you're going to be just guilty by association. You're automatically a PDF file. I mean, we're going to see also today that there's a bit of a difference between being mentioned 2 or 3 times and 2,000 times. Yeah, I told you that we were going to talk about Norway and Peter Attia as well. But it's like, I'm going to tell you, this is the kind of, let's say, examples that we can make. I don't know if you know about this guy, Sneeko, but he's a very, very popular streamer for Generation Z. And he was asking Piers Morgan on X, why TF would you go to that island, Piers Morgan? And Piers Morgan has a picture with Ghislaine Maxwell. Doesn't mean that he has gone to the island. And in fact, Piers Morgan reposted Sneeko and told him, delete this defamatory lie or I will sue you. At the time of this live stream, this post from Sneeko has 9 million views, must have 10 million views by this point. So this is the kind of things that I am not a fan of Piers Morgan, but I will defend Piers Morgan's right to sue anybody he wants for defamation, just because he took a picture with the wrong person. And again, you cannot judge somebody because you simply appear, your email is in the Epstein files, more on that in a minute, or because you took a picture next to Ghislaine Maxwell. That's not how it works. Because precisely, Jeffrey Epstein made sure to hang out with very powerful people most of the time, and these people were just taking pictures. And Ghislaine was, that was his right-hand woman, I think. We could call that way. His right-hand man, a woman in this case. And just because Piers Morgan has a picture with Ghislaine Maxwell, it doesn't mean that he went to the island, and much less that he did anything illicit or illegal. We need to be realistic here. But what brings clicks? And Sneeko knows that. Baseless accusations. This is not a vague accusation. This is an implying by a question that Piers Morgan went to the island. It's implied that it was Jeffrey Epstein's island. And it's like this. Say that you can get even more specific like this. Like Trevor Noah in the Grammys. He basically said that Donald Trump went to the Jeffrey Epstein's island, which basically never happened. Let's play this.
That is a Grammy that every artist wants, almost as much as Trump wants Greenland, which makes sense. I mean, because Epstein's island is gone, he needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton. So, I told you it's my last year. What are you going to do about it?
So yeah, it seems like his last year hosting the Grammy, so he went for it, implying that Donald Trump went to the island, and it was a rather lame way of saying that. There's many more witty ways of saying that, but if he wanted to go for it, he could have been way more, witty about that. Again, he was lukewarm, but Donald Trump hit back. Hey, you know what? The problem is the platform that you have, the outreach that you have. And Donald Trump said, the Grammy Awards are the worst, virtually unwatchable. CBS is lucky not to have this garbage litter in their airwaves any longer. The host, Trevor Noah, whoever he may be, is almost as bad as Jimmy Kimmel at the low ratings Academy Awards. Noah said, incorrectly about me, that Donald Trump and Bill Clinton spent time on Epstein Island. Wrong! I always remember that Arnold Schwarzenegger meme from Commando. It was Commando, right? Commando was. I can't speak for Bill, but have never been to Epstein Island nor anywhere close, and until tonight's false and defamatory statement, have never been accused of being there, not even by the fake news media. Noah, a total loser, better get his facts straight and get them straight fast. It looks like I'll be sending my lawyers to sue this poor, pathetic, talentless dope of an MC and suing him for plenty dollars. Ask little George Slopadopoulos and others how that all work out. Also ask CBS. Get ready, Noah. I'm going to have some fun with you. President Donald J. Trump, I guess that thanks for your attention to this matter. And again, we will address this as well. Bill Gates emails in Epstein files. Steve Bannon emails in Epstein files. Reid Hoffman, Elon Musk, Bill Clinton. But only Elon Musk is calling for prosecutions. The others are silent. Why is that? Were they silence? Or, there's a lot of it. And we don't have even 50% of the Epstein files. And the problem is that there's a lot of stuff in there that was inflated in the, let's say that under this administration. Then can you imagine how many things how much the Democrats could have inflated that under the Biden administration? I mean, you didn't have to do anything. You just have to hire a hobo from the street and tell him to, call the FBI line and leave a tip about, I've seen Donald Trump doing some kind of cartwheels at Jeffrey Epstein New York City mansion. And that's it. That you have a tip about Donald Trump hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. Doesn't mean that the thing is real. You have to spark an investigation. But as I explain later, you need more than one tip or more than one connection to an event happening so the FBI can correctly allocate resources. And if this is made up, then when Donald Trump said this is a Democrat-crafted hoax, then basically a lot of the stuff of this is a hoax that was inflated under Democrats. Sadly, the problem with the Trump that he doesn't have any sort of filter. People thought that he meant that the victims were fake, that the victims did not, there were no victims under Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein did not exist. Everything is made up. That's, I wouldn't say that's not what Trump said, but I'm not his spokesperson, but it's, let's say the way that he speaks. He kind of clarifies things after the fact. But it's obvious that so much stuff here, you cannot take at face value. As in, even if I don't like Piers Morgan, even if there's a picture of him with Ghislaine Maxwell in absolutely not the island, then he has the right to say, hey, wait a second, this never happened. As Trump has the right to say that this never happened. But we need to address, that's what we are going to address next, one of my next topics. The people who kept hanging out and calling and reaching out to Jeffrey Epstein after knowing who he was, which, it's concerning. But I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Power Pundit. Much love and